John and Nate here with Free Up. I'm pretty excited today. We solidified a partnership with Helium 10, and we have Bradley, who's a longtime entrepreneur, a longtime online seller, here to walk us through a bunch of different things. We're going to be doing a 6-part series all about selling on Amazon, all about using Helium 10. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about hiring and using virtual assistants and freelancers throughout, but it's been kind of cool. As we've grown and you guys have grown, we've seen more requests asking for freelancers and virtual assistants that know Helium 10. I know that for a lot of our clients and a lot of our big clients, that's been a pre-qualification for any virtual assistant, any freelancer they need Helium 10 experience. So we thought we'd go right to the source. And Bradley, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be on, and hope to bring all of your viewers as much value over this 6-part series as possible.
Awesome. So I won't make you do this 6 times, but why don't you tell everyone just about yourself and how you got into this and what you do with Helium 10?
Yeah. So, I was involved with a company who was selling on Amazon, around 2015, 2016. And I didn't have much to do with the Amazon side of things. I was mainly about the logistics, and I was just one of the co-owners. I didn't know much. And after I left that company, I just dedicated myself to learning about Amazon and was just enamored with the whole process. It was just such a interesting, thing for me to really get into. It's kind of like a puzzle, a game, like the Amazon game was really cool. And so I became an Amazon consultant for different sellers, and I helped launch over 400 different products. I was in charge of listing optimization and running their launches for a lot of Korean companies, and then on some large diet supplement companies. And being a data kind of guy, and being a logical kind of person, it irritates me when I see like people giving misinformation on the internet. So what would happen was I would see people in Facebook groups posting wrong information about whether it's about launches or whether it's about keyword research or whatever. And then I would go on there and I would be trying to fight people online, like showing them all this data. And then Manny Coates at Helium 10 was like, who is this guy posting in our Facebook groups, like, ripping these scammers new ones, So he found out that, I lived like an hour south. So they invited me up. They're like, hey, we'd like to hire you. And I'm like, oh, I'm not looking for a job. I'm good because, I had a pretty nice consultant job. And plus I was working for a large supplement company. But it was an honor to be asked. And I was like, you know what? This is the software I've been using for almost all of my, 400 launches. It just made sense. I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And so now I came on last year. First started as the operations manager there. Now I'm what's called the success manager, meaning I'm the one who handles all the training. I help all the affiliates, I help all the users, and I work closely with the developers because I'm one of the few at the company who comes from an Amazon background, so I have kind of like the pulse of the Amazon seller community. So with that, I'm trying to help the developers develop the products to, gear it towards the sellers a lot. So that's where I'm at now, and I love what I do, and that's what else can you ask for in a job, right?
Yeah, it's a great story. And why don't we start at the basic? Let's say someone maybe they're a new Amazon seller. They've never heard of Helium 10. Maybe they've used some of the other software out there. What is Helium 10? What do you guys offer? And how do you guys compare to the other stuff that's out there?
Yeah, well, Helium 10 is one of the is the most all-inclusive suite of tools out there for Amazon sellers. It's the most accurate and the most reliable and best valued data suite. Before Helium 10, I was using maybe 7 or 8 different tools, subscriptions, 6 different Chrome extensions. I mean, you guys know how it is because, sellers, we need a lot of data. Like 5 years ago when there wasn't tools, it was kind of like the wild, wild west. You just did whatever you could. And then as tools come along, you're like, wow, how did I live without this? I need the Chrome extension for this. I need something to analyze my financials. I need something to research keywords. I need something to track keywords. I need something to, maybe get myself refunds from Amazon who's not reimbursed me. And so, yeah, these are all things we need, and I subscribe to those. But then somebody showed me Helium 10 for keyword tracking, and I signed up, and I was like, whoa, look at all these things. Now I can just go ahead and cancel all these subscriptions because everything is just in one. So that's our main goal at Helium 10. The motto, with Helium, rising to the top, we're helping sellers rise to the top, and we just want to make sure that we're the one-stop shop kind of for Amazon sellers.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's funny. I don't know if you know this, but I started selling back in 2008, and I've sold over $20+ million on Amazon, but most of that was before any of this software was even out there. There were no courses, there were no gurus, there was no software. And I was always looking for this stuff. And I feel like when I got out of Amazon and shifted for Free Up, all this stuff started to pop up and take it to the next level. So it's kind of cool to see that. We're going to start talking about profitable keywords to start. So why don't you take us through the basics? I don't know if you want to pull up your screen at some point, but I'd love to just hear your take on profitable keywords.
Yeah, well, first of all, before I get into a demo of how I would find profitable keywords, something that's important, and again, as things have progressed, like you said, back in the day, there was nothing out there, but then things are better now because of tools and companies. But at the same time, some things are worse because now there's these people with big audiences, or there's these voices, or there's these companies who put marketing campaigns behind strategies or metrics or things that really have no value. And so, and that was one of the things that I go out and, I don't want to be the Amazon seller police or something, but like I said, I'm just the kind of guy who those kind of things, upset me. When people use their position or their notoriety to spread misinformation out there and confuse sellers, that really affects their business. It's irritating to me. So one of the big things that I don't like today is when people push different metrics or different things that people are not even sure what they're used for, and then they preach it as like gospel about what's needed. For example, one of the ones last year, I'm glad Amazon actually shut this off, but we never used at Helium 10 was what's people were calling a relevancy to Amazon. Now, in the general term, finding keywords that are relevant to Amazon or making sure that the words you're listing are relevant to Amazon, of course, that's a no-brainer. That's necessary. You can't expect to have Amazon show you for PPC or for Amazon to give you, rank love if you don't have the word in your listing, first of all, or if it's a word that has nothing to do with your category. Like if you're in the phone case category, you can't expect Amazon to show you love for the word Batman or something like that, right? So of course, in a general sense, you need to be relevant to Amazon, and we all know the ways to do that. Hey, I'm going to put these words in my title. I'm going to maybe repeat them. I'm going to make sure they're in phrase form. But what the misinformation was out there is there's people who tell other sellers who tell other sellers, or whatever the case may be, where, hey, there's certain scores that have to do with relevancy. Now, first of all, there used to be a relevancy score on Amazon, or what they called relevancy. Actually, I don't think it actually said relevancy in the API, but people would say like, oh, you need to have this score or else you're not going to be successful or this or that. Now, I disprove that. A lot of people have disproved that. And the fact of the matter is Amazon's algorithm is not perfect, all right? There's a couple examples I use where something for that, if you're looking at that metric score, something like an iPhone 6 tempered glass, right, would have a 100% relevancy score to an iPhone 8 or iPhone 10, I'm sorry, tempered glass. Now, in real life, that is 0% relevant. You cannot put an iPhone 6 screen protector on an iPhone 10. I mean, right. I guess you could, but I should hope that nobody would want to do that, right? So just the fact that it's relevant to Amazon for whatever reason their algorithm says, in real world application, that should be meaningless to us. I mean, that doesn't help you sell something. What helps you sell something is not what's relevant to Amazon, but what's relevant to the buyer. And so that's kind of like the basis of how I do my keyword research. I try and frame things around what is relevant to the buyer, because regardless of how relevant it is to the Amazon, if it doesn't mean anything to the buyer, it's not going to help you get to the sale. All right. Now, once you get those words, then you start framing things around, okay, now how do I make this keyword relevant to Amazon at the same time, or just to make sure Amazon knows this is important to my listing. So I'm going to just talk a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and talk a little bit about my process here. So here's the thing. So let's say I have gone through the process in order to say that, hey, I want to, sell a teapot, all right? And I've already validated it. I'm not saying that this is true because it's probably not. This, it's probably something that there's not much opportunity. But let's just say through my research, I've decided that this is, there's opportunity here. And I now want to find out, hey, what kind of keywords are going to bring me sales? Now, this is what I like to do. So I'm just going to, first of all, hit our Chrome extension here. And it's going to pull up the details on page 1 of these results. Now, this is not, some earth-shattering technology, Chrome extensions that have been out there for a while. Ours pretty much works the same as, many of our competitors. I'm going to get into some things that are earth-shattering and game-changing here, but you can't reinvent the wheel with everything. So this is a lot of you guys are familiar, even if you've never used Helium 10, with this kind of product. All right. So I'm not looking for Cuisinart. Let me just say that my product, I'm just going to pick something here. Let's say, let me pick a slower selling one here. Let's say my product is going to look like this, or Rewindel. Is that would you say that's a brand name?
I honestly
I wouldn't say here. I'm going to say no, just because there's only one seller. By the way, this tells you how many sellers are. Usually if there's only one seller, it's probably not a wholesale or arbitrage product. So I'm just going to use this as, let's say, my baseline product. Okay, so I'm just going to say I just like to use this as a baseline product. I'm going to go to Cerebro, and I'm going to put it here as my first one here. Now we actually just had a huge update on Cerebro yesterday, so hopefully they're not doing maintenance on this right now, but we just had a big, I don't know if you saw, we just did a big webinar yesterday. Brock Johnson was on there, and that was where I just flew from, and we launched some really cool updates to Cerebro. So I'm going to use that as my baseline, and what I mean by baseline is, hey, I've determined that this is almost exactly like the product that I'm going to source from China or from wherever I'm going to source it from, right? So now what I'm going to do is I want to find 4 or 5 of the closest competitors to this, all right? Because I don't care that just because it's on page 1 of my main keyword. What I want to do is I want to find the top sellers of something that really looks like my product. And again, the reasoning behind this goes back to that original goal. How am I going to find the most buyer relevant keywords, all right? And my answer is, okay, if I find products that look, feel, function, priced very similar to my idea for what I'm going to have, and if I can see what they're doing, how they're getting their sales, and who their customers are, that's very relevant to me, because my customers, if I'm coming up with a similar product, are going to be the same demographic, maybe even the same people as this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sort this by the sales. All right. But I'm not just going to blindly pick the top sellers. Like, for example, I'm not going to pick this one for now, just because that is Cuisinart. So I'm sure there's plenty of people just searching for Cuisinart, regardless of reviews or anything. But here, Circulon, I'm not familiar with. So I'm just going to say, for argument's sake, unless you know something different, that I don't think that's a brand name. So
nope.
And it does look and it's priced really similar. Yes, it's blue and the other one's red, but I don't think that's the big deal here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that here, that ASIN. This you see, this one's a little bit different now, because this one has an infuser. It's like clear, see-through. And so, like, I don't know too much about teapots, but just this whole thing about having an infuser, which the other one doesn't, it's possible that the demographic for these customers might be different than the other one. So I'm just going to skip over that one. This one, that's a tough one. I don't know. This one, I'm going to say no again, because now that I'm looking, not just does it look different, but that price is like more than double what mine is going to be. So again, for something like this, their target market might be different than mine. This one is still kind of expensive, but I might consider it if I can't find a lot of one. This one looks like a coffee. This is a coffee cup. It looks like almost. Here's another one. Creative Home. Alexa. What does that connect to? I bet you that's just the name of it. I doubt they have a teapot that's connected to Alexa.
One day.
There's everything connected to Alexa these days. They're gonna have toilet paper connected to Alexa. Let's see here. This one, tangerine orange 6 cup chai teapot. That one looks similar, but it's $70. Here's one that's only 27, so similar. Oh, there's one. Yeah, there we go. There's another one. Okay. So now I just picked 3. Maybe I should do one more. Maybe I should do one more here. Wait, is this the same one that I picked before? I hope not. 06Q. Nope, I don't have that one. Okay, so now what I do when I do this search is I hit get keywords. Basically, what this is going to do, it's going to find all of the keywords in 3 different scenarios. And this is actually the update that we just made yesterday. Before, you would have to do different searches, and one is brand new. It's first of all finding me any keyword that any one of these products is ranking on page 1 or up to page 20. In other words, the first 306 positions, all right, which is super valuable. I mean, that is just beyond valuable. Like, I don't even know what we did before reverse ASIN tools, because if you, I mean, it would literally be humanly impossible to do this, even if you had a team of 100 VAs. All right. I mean, you could have, because basically there's an infinity number of keywords out there, and you would literally just have to type in any keyword that you can think of and then go through everyone and try and see where they rank, if they rank. And then, I mean, that's literally an impossible task. All right. So that in itself is amazing to me. Number two is it's going out there and finding all of the keywords that we have detected that one of these products at least has come up on a sponsored ad. And number three, it's going out there and using what Amazon is saying is related. As we know, whenever we do sponsored ads, and sometimes you get these emails from Amazon, Amazon says, hey, you should advertise your product on this ASIN. You should advertise it on this ASIN. We think that this product is related to your ASIN, all right? Or I'm sorry, this keyword is related to your ASIN, and they actually give it a score. Now, again, this is a score that it is what it is. I'm not going to try and tell you it's something else, or you have to get an X score in order to get to page one or anything. I'm just saying, hey, our users wanted to see, hey, Amazon gives a score to the keywords that they think is relevant or important or good to advertise on a certain ASIN. So can you just show us those scores and let us make a decision? So that's what I'm going to have you guys do. That's another pet peeve of mine too. Now that there's so much software out there, there's a lot of sellers who want to be able to just push a button and have some algorithm like tell them what keywords. In my opinion, and this kind of goes along with having a good team, including VAs, is human intuition. The human factor in product research and keyword research is 10 out of 10 always going to trump some algorithm that you can just push a button. All right. Even the Amazon algorithm, one of the most powerful algorithms in the world, is going to tell you that an iPhone 6, tempered glass is the same as an iPhone 10. I mean, there is no software tool that's going to beat Amazon's algorithm, and there's no tool that's going to beat human intuition. So,
it's almost like Moneyball, where you got the analytic side and you got the face and the eye side and the scouting side, and you got to put it all together.
Yeah, to me, tools are to help save time. Like literally, I just showed you that this is something that I just did, or that we just did here, that took me 2 minutes, that you could have 1,000 man and woman hours and never be able to do this. So that's what tools are for, to help ease things. But at the end of the day, decision-making and curating keywords has to be a human, all right? You just can't beat it. So anyways.
And is this updated in real time? Is it updated once a day?
For Cerebro, there are different ones that are checked throughout the month. All right. There are some that are checked every day, because if it's like a really important keyword, there's some, at the very least, it's at least gone out and checked every month. And we have tens of millions of keywords that we're checking. So we can't check every single one like every 10 seconds or something, because we would have to take over Google servers in order to do that. But at the very least, we have gone out there and checked it usually once a day, once a week, or once a month at the most, to give you an idea of what is going on. So this one came out with 4,000 words, and a lot of these keywords are good. But again, my process, I'm just going to show you guys today, how do I pick the most important, the most relevant, the most potential keywords that are going to get me the most potential sales, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit organic. As I said, right now, this is showing me anything that's come up on sponsor. This is showing me anything that Amazon is suggesting. But what are the keywords that any one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 products are ranking for? So let's take a look here. And it's probably not going to be too much of a smaller number, probably in the 3,000 something. Yeah, there's 3,000 keywords, all right? So here's the thing with this. Now, I could have, these could be ranked for keywords, maybe on page 19 and 20. So like, what's the last thing that you bought on Amazon or that you've searched for to buy?
I just bought an alarm system.
An alarm system, okay. So do you remember what you searched for?
I was actually comparing it to Nest versus Ring. So I was searching Nest on Amazon, and I didn't know this at the time, but Amazon has their own version of Nest, which is called Ring.
Yeah, I use Ring throughout my house. I have Ring doorbell. I've got Ring cameras all over the place. I was just getting on the airplane this morning. It says there's motion in your front door. So I'm like, what's going on here? So yeah, I love that too. So regardless of if you searched for that, probably it wasn't just 2 results that came up. I mean, there's probably like 10 pages of results that came up from things related to it and everything. Now, for that one and for anything else that you've bought recently, how often do you scroll past page 1 or 2 to really find what you want?
Not very often.
Not very often. I mean, you've got to be pretty, you got to have a lot of time on your hands, or be really very patient, or very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, coupon savvy, or those, like my mother is probably one of them who would be the one on Amazon to scroll to page 17 to find the one that she can save 3 cents on, or something like that, but
Exactly.
99.9% of us, we're like, if we don't find it by page 1 or 2, we are probably not going to keep looking. So it's safe to say that, let's say a product is ranked on, page 17, all right, position 150. Now, do you think they're getting many sales from that keyword from being ranked at that position?
No, not from that keyword.
Of course not. Of course not. And I think all of you guys who are watching probably feel the same way. All right. So the cool thing is, with Cerebro, we can actually kind of narrow it down to get at least a general idea of where the sales are coming from. As you saw, what I was doing in X-Ray was I was picking the top sellers in this niche. All right. So the next question is, well, these are the top sellers. What keywords are driving their sales? Again, with the end goal of, like, if it's working for them and my product is similar, and you can actually visually see that here. This is what I picked as what I think my product is going to look like. And now I have 4 products that are all priced similar and look similar and have the similar function. So I want to find out their keywords. Now, here's the thing. I get asked this all the time. Does Amazon tell you exactly what keywords drive the sales for your product or your competitor product? And the answer is, of course, no, unless we're talking PPC. It does tell you, hey, we showed you for this search and, you made a sale or you didn't make a sale. But outside of PPC, which is the majority of sales, you don't know. So this is the way to do it. You look at what is, on page 1, because the only way that a person is going to get on page 1 and stay on page 1 for a while for an important keyword is if they're converting. And that's just logical. I mean, Amazon is out there to make a buck. The only way Amazon makes a buck is if you make the sale, because then they get their 15% commission. So exactly. They are in the business of showing what the products that is giving them the best chance of making that sale. All right. It's just logic. It makes sense. All right. So if somebody's converting for it, they're like, wow, okay, a lot of people who are searching for this keyword are buying this product. I'm going to show this, on page 1, because that's where everybody is going. All right. So this is kind of like a backdoor way of getting an idea about the market. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to actually filter this down. Now here's why I'm going to filter this down. Maybe not for the teapot category, but let's say you're in the supplement category, all right? Vitamin D3 or something. You're trying to come out with vitamin D3. And you look at the top vitamin D3 supplement, all right? And now this is a mistake that at least 50% of sellers I've talked to make. What they do is they just look for the #1 seller of vitamin D supplements. And they say, wow, this guy is selling $250,000 a month. I'm going to copy all his keywords. I want to see all his keywords. I'm going to put it in my listing. I'm going to check what he's converting for. What is he on page 1 for? And that's exactly the formula that I'm going to follow, because obviously he's doing something right. And if I can emulate or copy the #1 guy, I'm going to have a best chance of being successful. In some cases, that could be right. But here is the drawback. Like for a supplement, maybe that vitamin D3, maybe that guy was on the Oprah show or the Dr. Oz show. And there could have been some kind of catchphrase or hashtag that was launched on that show. And now everybody is searching or knows that product by this catchphrase. All right. And that has search volume on Amazon. It comes up in the autocomplete on Amazon. He's page 1, position 1. So maybe you see this cool keyword. You're like, whoa, this is a cool keyword. This is very important to him. It's going to be important to me. And then you spend all this money on PPC, or you do a launch or a giveaway, or however you get to page 1, you get right there at position 2 and you get no sales. Well, what happened? Well, what happened is that word is not relevant to your product. Even though you have a similar product, anybody who's searching for that is searching for the other product, the one that they saw on the Oprah Winfrey show. All right. So that's the danger of focusing all your keyword research just on the bestseller. All right. So here is why I am doing it against 4 or 5. If 4 or 5 of these products are all ranking for the same word, then that gives me way more confidence that this is not just relevant to a single product, but the whole niche as a whole. All right. So does that make sense? Kind of like what I'm talking about here?
It does. Is 4 or 5 the sweet spot? If you have more time, should you do more? Is there a reason not to do more?
You can do up to 10 with our tool Cerebro. Me, That's the sweet spot that I found. But the reason why we allow up to 10 is everybody does different things. Now, if I did do up to 10, what I would do is, let me just show you what I'm about to do, and I'm going to show you the difference of what it would do if I'm doing 10. I'm going to say, I'm just going to put a number right here, ranking competitors 4. That means that, whoops, it says 5. I said 4. That means that I want to see right now it's showing me the keywords that any one of these are ranking for. You know, this word teapots for stove could just be this, but maybe this guy's not ranking for. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to take this. It's going to take it from 3,000 down to, it's probably going to be a lot, probably I guarantee less than 1,000. Well, 286. All right. So here's the thing. If I had 10 products I'm comparing, I might have said, hey, show me what's relevant to 6 or 7, or at least 6 or 7, because once you start getting bigger, I mean, there's probably, even though they're selling well, there's a chance that a couple of those guys, you know, just might not know what they're doing, you know, very well. So, but if it's 4 or 5 and the top of the top, then I really want the keywords that every single one of them are ranking for, because that's just my sweet spot. But still, at even with this search, this is a good list of keywords. I mean, right away, I would save this. I mean, this is 286 keywords. I can probably, you know, maybe do some, sponsored ads too, or make sure I'm indexed for, put them somewhere in my listing. This is still a valuable list of keywords. But again, this exercise today is, how do I find the most relevant keywords to me, and the ones that I'm going to put some money on and focus. So I'm going to say, show me the words that if you take the average of these 4, you know, that I'm comparing, that they are kind of like all on page 1. You know, maybe this one's 1, 3, 7, and 11. So you take the average is position 7, right? Because now not only is it relevant to every single product, but every single one of my competitors are all converting for it because they're on page 1. So let's go ahead and do that and watch how it goes down a little bit more. Now it's down to 17. Now, right off the bat, and I could search by the estimated search volume, all right? This is all based off of historical data that had originally come from Amazon. And now all of a sudden, I see what the top keywords. And now I'm explaining this, so that's why it took 15 minutes. But as you can see, if I didn't have to talk so much, you could have done this in 2 minutes. So look at this, teapots for stovetop. This is estimated search around 10,000 times a month. The competitor rank average, what is that? That is the average rank of the competitors. And here we have it. One is ranked number 2. One is ranked number 16. One is ranked number 17. One is ranked 23. And the seed product I did is ranked 28. So even the seed product that I had done, this one here that I had chosen, is still almost ranked on page 1. So their competitor rank average is 14. So are they getting a lot of sales from this keyword? Absolutely. All of them are on page 1, and this is searched for a lot. Teapots, you know, this is different. Just like you and I didn't know, hey, is teapots 1 or 2 words? Well, you don't have to guess with here. You can see that both versions have search volume and are relevant to these products, because these guys are also all on page 1 for this word. Kettle stovetop, that's another way. I didn't even think about that. That's a way to say teapot, kettle, all right? There's another one that their competitor rank average is high. And so you see here all of these keywords. Here's something you might not have thought about. Rachel Ray tea kettle. Somehow all of them are indexed and on page 1 for Rachel Ray tea kettle. All right, that I guarantee that's probably coming from sponsored ads. Kettle stove. You know, some people search for words in formats that you wouldn't think, because they're lazy. You know, so they just put kettle and stove. Some people don't even know how to spell Rachel. So the Rachel Ray right here, you know, these are words that you might not have thought about. What happens a lot of times too, like, what the heck is this? Calypso tea kettle. You know, I'm sure that means something to people who know about, you know, teapots, but to me, who's just getting in a new niche, I might not have even known about this keyword, all right? What's gonna show up here a lot if I open up this search is Spanish words. A lot of people search for Spanish words as well in the United States, and people don't realize that who live in other countries and then trying to sell in the USA, they don't understand how many people actually search in Spanish language here in the USA. Cerebro is going to show that. So right here, I have a list of 17 words that I'm going to be easily able to pick 4 or 5 of the most important ones that I'm going to want to put in my title. I'm going to want to maybe repeat it in my bullet points. I'm going to maybe focus on it in my PPC, and I'm not going in blind. I'm not guessing, hey, could this keyword be relevant to my niche. I have the full confidence that it is because all 4 of my top competitors are all converting for it and on page 1. So there's the 20-minute version of something that I think 95% of sellers are not doing their research in this way. You know, they're either, like I said, going to the top one, or they're just trying to like use autocomplete to guess what might be the most relevant. But that's you're doing it blind. It's like that Netflix with the Sandra Bullock. What is it?
Bird Box.
Bird Box. All right, you're just going around, blindfolded, trying to hopefully, guess that you're going to hit your target. But this takes the blindfold off and gives you a lot of exposure.
Yeah, I love this. You showed your process and you touched on a few different mistakes. Are there any other mistakes that you see are pretty common?
Yeah, there's different mistakes that people make, when they're doing research. Sometimes they try to compare themselves to products that are not similar, right? And now, what do I mean by that? That's like, for example, if they think that everybody on page 1 is their main competitor, right, of what their main keyword is. And now here's where that is not true. Let's say that you're selling an accordion. Well, there's 2 kinds. If you search for accordion, you're going to find $400, $500 accordions for like mariachi bands or professional bands or whatever, right? And you're going to see $30 kids accordions. And so what they do, even if they use this method, a lot of people don't even use this method, but let's say they do this compare ASIN, what I call compare ASIN method. They'll just say, hey, these guys are all my competitors because they're on page 1 of my important keyword. But guess what? If you have a $500 accordion, I don't care if the $30 kids accordion has Amazon's choice in page 1, position 1. I could not care less what they're doing. They are 100% not my competitor. The reason is somebody who goes on Amazon with the intention to buy an adult accordion is never going to buy that kids accordion. So it doesn't matter what they're doing because they're just going to completely skip over that when they're looking at page 1. Conversely, somebody who goes on Amazon to buy like a Christmas gift for their niece or nephew who's looking for a $30 kids accordion, it's not like they're going to see yours and say, hey, let me just get my niece this $500 accordion. So again, they're not your competition. So it's like almost like you hide them from your mind. And people don't think like this. I mean, if you ask 9 out of 10 sellers, 9 of them will say, yeah, everybody on page 1 of my main keyword is my competitor. I need to know what they're doing. But again, you don't, because you need to know. And that's kind of like why I skipped over a few of those, because again, I just don't think that a couple of those were my direct competitor for that teapot because one had the infuser or it was too expensive or whatever. So I think that's like one of the big mistakes that sellers make as well.
It's fascinating. I really appreciate you teaching our community about it. And I know you guys have a special promotion for free up users. It's 10% off for life. Is that right?
Yeah, 10% off for life. You could have that off the monthly plan, or if you're 100% sure you want to go ahead, with Helium 10, you can buy the annual plan, which already saves you like a couple $100 off of the year. But then you can even take another 10% off of that one as well.
Awesome. And you can see Bradley on the AM/PM podcast as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Send them over to Bradley, to Helium 10, to Free Up. We'll do our best to make sure you get the answers. Any closing thoughts?
Just guys, let us know, what you think of this, and any questions, you can tag me on Facebook. That's usually the best way to reach me. You can go in the Helium 10 users group, but let me know. And I hope that whatever tool you're using, I think that Helium 10 is the best, but what I try and do in these videos is show you guys techniques that really should be applied no matter what tool you're using. And so I hope you guys can commit to me that you're going to start doing this and not making those mistakes the other sellers are. If you're using Helium 10, great. But if you still have another tool, still try and see how you can use this method for crushing your keyword research.
Hey everyone, I'm making content like this all the time. If you like this video, please comment and like below. Also, click the subscribe button to get even more content brought to you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back at the end of the next video to remind you again.